And welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level intermediate ESL lesson. Today we're going to be reviewing the simple present tense and the present continuous verb tense and learning about gradable and extreme adjectives. So which languages can you speak? And do you know words from a lot of different languages? And if you'd like, you can answer these questions in the comments. Now take a guess as to who is studying which language and why are they studying this language, that language. So we have Karthik, Yosef, and Elif. The languages are Ancient Greek, Arabic, and Russian. And some of the reasons are vacationing in Egypt, reading classic literature, and watching the World Cup. Great, so Elif is planning to visit Egypt. So go ahead and you can pause the video, complete the text with the words from the boxes, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. I started learning Arabic about a month ago. I'm planning to go on a vacation to Egypt next year, and I want to be able to speak some basic Arabic when I'm there. In my opinion, it's quite a difficult language to learn. For one thing, the alphabet is completely different, and they write from right to left instead of left to right. At the moment, I'm trying to learn some basic greetings, numbers, and some vocabulary for food and drink. That will be a good start, at least. So do you know of any other languages that write from right to left? And do you know any basic greetings in Arabic? And in which countries is Arabic spoken? And again, if you'd like, answer those questions or in the comments. Right, here we have Yosef is learning Russian. So you can go ahead and pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check the answers. I've been learning Russian for a while now. I started studying the language because I wanted to travel to Russia to watch the World Cup. Now I'm hooked. I have a Russian girlfriend who speaks very good English, and she is helping me. One of the great things about Russian is the pronunciation. You look at a word and you know how to pronounce it. The grammar is complicated, though. I can speak Russian quite well, but I'm still struggling with the grammar. So according to the text, what is difficult and what is easy about learning Russian? Well, the pronunciation is easy, but the grammar is complicated. Which words do you know in Russian? And do you know someone who speaks Russian? So we're going to review the present simple verb tense. We use the present simple for facts that are always true. The earth goes around the sun. In Arabic, you write from right to left, and vegetarians don't eat meat. We use the present simple to describe routines and habits. We always get takeout on Friday evenings. Beryl usually hurries for the bus every morning, and Jason generally doesn't work later than 5 p.m. We can also use the present simple for opinions and beliefs. Do you agree with me? I think it's a good idea. Or he doesn't believe me. Now here you're going to identify the use of the present simple, whether it's a fact that is true all the time, a habit or a routine, or an opinion or belief. So you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So ice melts quickly in hot weather. That is a fact that is true all the time. I don't think Errol is a good person. That's an opinion or belief. Babies cry when they are hungry. That would be a fact that is true. I don't like him because he always tells lies. That would be it could be an opinion or belief, yes. We eat breakfast each morning at 6:30 a.m. It's a habit or a routine. She doesn't know the answer. That could be an opinion or a belief, or it could be, well, I don't know that it would be a fact that's true all the time. So, opinion or belief. The teacher never gives us homework. That would be a fact. And I have a swimming lesson each Thursday. That would be a habit or routine. Actually, this one could also be a habit or routine that the teacher never gives homework. All right, so look at how we use the present continuous. Joseph says, I'm still struggling with the grammar. So that's action, an action in progress at the time of speaking. Karthik says, we are learning the alphabet this week, and that is actions and situations around the time of speaking. And I'm going on vacation to Egypt next year, are future arrangements. So these are the three uses of the present continuous. Okay, so struggling with the grammar, an action in progress at the time of speaking, an action around the time of speaking, so this week, and a future arrangement next year. All right, so again, we're going to identify the use of the present continuous. You can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. He's taking the bus to work this week because his car broke down. So that would be for an action or situation around the moment of speaking because of the this week. Hurry up, Mom is waiting for you at the train station. So again, that would be a action in progress at the time of speaking. We're visiting a museum this weekend is a future arrangement. She's not coming to dinner on Saturday is a future arrangement. I'm eating dinner, so I can't talk to you now. That would be an action around the moment of speaking. We're doing a cooking class this month. That's in progress around the time of speaking. And Sammy and Alex had an argument. They're not talking. An action or situation around the moment of speaking. All right, now we're going to look at how Karthik uses the present simple and present continuous. You can pause the video and read this on your own, or you can follow along as I read. People often laugh at me when I tell them that I'm learning ancient Greek. They ask me why I want to learn a dead language, but I've always been interested in classic literature. I took it up about 2 months ago, and I go to lessons once a week. The classes are great fun, and they say that learning a foreign language helps to keep your mind active. We are still learning the alphabet at the moment. I'm finding it hard to remember, but I'm making progress. So find uses of the present simple for habit or routine. So let's see. Let's look at... Okay, so people often laugh. That's a habit or routine. When I tell them, habit or routine. They ask me why is habit or routine. I go to lessons. They say that learning a foreign language helps. And let's see, that's it for the present simple. And then the present continuous, the I'm learning ancient Greek. Then we are still learning the alphabet. I'm finding it hard to remember, and I'm making progress. All right, so we don't use all verbs in the present continuous. So there are some verbs that we don't use in the present continuous. These are called state verbs or stative verbs. So when we use the following verbs, we generally use a simple tense. So things like, love, hate, want, prefer, and need. So for likes and preferences. Mental states, so like agree, believe, understand, know, think, and have. And other verbs like be, own, forget, seem, occur, and depend. So I want to become a doctor, but you would never say I'm wanting to become a doctor, because you either want to become a doctor or you don't want it. There's no continuous form of that verb in that context. So he owns that car. But you wouldn't say he's owning that car, because you either own the car or you don't own it. So it's a state, and so there's no continuous form of that. All right, so first you're going to identify the state verbs and then complete the sentences with either the present simple or present continuous. You can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So he drives to work every day, present simple, his habit or routine. She likes her new teacher, that's a preference. He now owns a large house on Maple Street. I am learning Spanish this month, and I enjoy it. Sorry, but I don't agree with you. That's not correct. Please put a jacket on. It is raining heavily. Today I am wearing a hat that I bought on the weekend, and they are very good friends, and they also work together. All right, and then there's some verbs that can be used for a state or an action, so they can be used in the present simple or the present continuous. So we have the verb think as a state. She thinks it is a bad idea, so that would be it's her opinion. We're thinking about visiting you, that's a mental process. See, I don't see your point of view, means I don't understand, is a state. She's seeing the dentist next week, is a meeting. And have, we don't have any money, so that's a state of possession. Or he has 3 brothers, which is relationship. He's having trouble with his homework, is an ongoing action. All right, so we're going to listen to Amanda and then answer the questions.
I think one thing that makes people hesitant to learn Russian is the alphabet. In fact, when you look closely, the Cyrillic alphabet is not very different from the Roman alphabet. Some of the letters are new. Of course, you have to learn those, but overall, I thought learning the alphabet was quite easy. To me, handwritten Russian is extremely beautiful. At first, it was a little bit difficult to form the new letters, but it just takes practice. I found some great exercises online, which were very useful. In my opinion, Russian grammar is extremely complicated. Nouns can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. And it's a little bit depressing when you realize how many grammatical forms you need to memorize. On a more positive note, speaking and listening in Russian are quite straightforward.
Let's take a look at the questions. Which language is Amanda learning? She's learning Russian. What does she say about the alphabet? That it was quite easy to learn the alphabet. In her opinion, what is beautiful about the language? She thinks that Russian handwriting is beautiful. And what does she think is complicated? She thinks that Russian grammar is complicated. Great, we're going to listen to Amanda again and then answer the question. Well, go ahead and try to answer the questions, and then we'll listen to check your answers.
I think one thing that makes people hesitant to learn Russian is the alphabet. In fact, when you look closely, the Cyrillic alphabet is not very different from the Roman alphabet. Some of the letters are new. Of course, you have to learn those, but overall, I thought learning the alphabet was quite easy. To me, handwritten Russian is extremely beautiful. At first, it was a little bit difficult to form the new letters, but it just takes practice. I found some great exercises online, which were very useful. In my opinion, Russian grammar is extremely complicated. Nouns can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. And it's a little bit depressing when you realize how many grammatical forms you need to memorize. On a more positive note, speaking and listening in Russian are quite straightforward.
Great, so Amanda used adjectives, so look at the words in bold. And in each group, the second word is an adjective. The first word changes the degree of the adjective. And here's an example. Useful is an adjective. We can use different words like very in front of useful. For example, something can be very useful or extremely useful. So here, quite easy. Easy is the adjective, and quite tells how easy. Beautiful, and the extremely beautiful tells the degree. Difficult is the adjective, and a bit, and as we said, useful, modified by very. Complicated is the adjective, modified by extremely. Depressing is the adjective by bit, and straightforward is the adjective, modified by quite. All right, so gradable and extreme adjectives. You can see the different degree of the adjectives. So adjectives like freezing and boiling have an extreme meaning. And then we can use intensifiers like really, absolutely, and completely with these adjectives. With gradable adjectives like hot and cold, we can add intensifiers to make the meaning weaker or stronger. So quite, very, really, extremely. So take a look at some common and extreme adjectives. So a little bit cold, quite big, very tired, really bad, extremely dirty, quite angry. And then the extremes, absolutely terrible, completely exhausted, it's really enormous, exceptionally filthy, absolutely freezing, completely furious. And it says, note that you can use really with all the adjectives. Really cold, really big, really tired, really bad, really dirty, really angry, really terrible, really enormous, really exhausted, really freezing, really filthy, really furious. All right, so we're going to listen to Hanan and then answer these questions, true or false. And if they're false, go ahead and correct them.
The first time I tried to learn Arabic was absolutely terrifying. I had enrolled in a beginner's class, but on the first day I discovered that I was the only real beginner in the group. All the other students already spoke some Arabic. In my opinion, it's absolutely essential to understand the basics before you can move on. I had no idea what was happening in the first class. It seemed absolutely endless. The pace of the classes was too fast for me, and I was completely exhausted after each lesson. After a couple of weeks, I realized that it was going to be impossible for me to keep up, and I dropped out of the class. This experience made me hesitant to learn a new language for quite a while. I felt absolutely awful.
So Hanan talks about the first time she learned Japanese. That is false. It was Arabic. She enrolled in a beginner's group. That was true. The pace of the class was too slow for her. That was false. It was too fast. And she dropped out of the class. That was true. Right, so you're going to complete the text with the extreme adjective you hear and listen if the reader says absolutely or completely.
The first time I tried to learn Arabic was absolutely terrifying. I had enrolled in a beginner's class, but on the first day I discovered that I was the only real beginner in the group. All the other students already spoke some Arabic. In my opinion, it's absolutely essential to understand the basics before you can move on. I had no idea what was happening in the first class. It seemed absolutely endless. The pace of the classes was too fast for me, and I was completely exhausted after each lesson. After a couple of weeks, I realized that it was going to be impossible for me to keep up, and I dropped out of the class. This experience made me hesitant to learn a new language for quite a while. I felt absolutely awful.
All right, so now you can answer these questions in the comments if you would like to talk about your experience as a language learner. So which language did you learn? Probably English, because these are English lessons. And what was easy to learn? What was the hardest thing to remember? What was complicated to understand? How did you feel when you're learning the language? And did you have any problems learning the language? And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, answer the questions in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.